Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's so serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
It's going down. It's going down. Hello, hello, hello. OMG, we got issues. We got issues on Monday. We got issues on Tuesday. We got issues Thursday, Wednesday, Friday. We even got issues on Saturday and Sunday, even though we're not on. We got issues. Thanks so much for tuning in today. You have The Force of Friendship, hosted today by Katrina Harris Earl, and every day with my girlfriends, Lady Chrisette Ellis, Sabrina Goodwin Monday, who's not on the show today, but we'll be back tomorrow. Gloria Mayfield Banks, who is in the Taj Mahal in Vietnam. I know that's not in Vietnam, but she is in the most palatial hotel. So I think she will be on tomorrow, and we will hear all about this hotel. It is everything. I know you're following all of us on social media. You can go to theforceoffriendship.com. Click on the We Got Issues tab, and you'll hear all the different ways, or you'll see all the different ways that you can tune in. Roku, on iHeartRadio. You can listen to us in the car, from a plane, a train, in Detroit, or anywhere in the world. We are so grateful that you are tuning in. And on there, you also can click on the About and see all the girlfriends and find out all the ways you can follow us on social media. Because when I tell you, these girlfriends have a lot going on. We have a lot going on. We are blessed in so many ways to live really rich lives. And it's just amazing. I mean, today we're talking on the phone. We were connecting with Gloria in Vietnam. My husband is on the border of Zambia. Everyone is like all over the place. And 1 minute ago, I was not on the radio. I'm getting excited. So when I say I made it in, okay, that Escalade pulled in the driveway 2 minutes before. Chris is on the show with us today. Chris, do you remember when we first started hosting the show? Thank you for the amazing opportunity that we would have a 9-hour meeting. And now these chicks come 1 minute before the show. Talk about
I told Dorothy, I said, Dorothy, I came on, and Dorothy hit me up on about 10 minutes too. And she's rushed. I said, Dorothy, it's 10 minutes. That's like an hour with us. I was like, no worries. It's 10 whole minutes. And she said, Katrina's coming. She got 2 minutes. I said, Dorothy, that's 2 whole minutes. Are you kidding me? Do you know what we do in 2 minutes? So I said, no problem. I said, that's one thing for sure. We have each other's back. So I was totally ready to fill in just in case, because I know, Monday through Friday is a lot trying to fit it all in. And you know what? I'm so glad today to be on the show live on Facebook because yesterday I couldn't. We had a major storm in Michigan on yesterday. And, it didn't seem to me, I was actually driving in a little bit of it. It didn't seem to be that terrible, but there are so many that are still without electricity. Yesterday, I came home, as is our normal, rushing, trying to get on, and could not get on the internet. So many people may have electricity, but many did not have and still doesn't have internet. So I'm so thankful that today, probably about 45 minutes to an hour ago, our internet finally came back up. So I am glad to be with you on today. You and I are going to hold it down. I'm excited about the conversation, which is a much needed conversation, considering our kids have just gone back to school. I know others are going back after Labor Day, but the Detroit public schools are open. Many of them are, and the kids have already started going back to school. So I'm excited about this conversation. back to you, Katrina.
Oh my gosh, this is we just have issues, and we're going to talk about those school issues today. The 300,000 teachers that have left. The person who I just came from meeting with had just gotten back from Sweden, and he was talking about. I said, "Well, how long have you been here?" Only 3 months at this new job. Where I met with him, and I said, "What did you do before?" He was a teacher in Silicon Valley. I said, "Oh, I'm talking about you today. You're part of the problem. You've left the profession." And he just proceeded to talk about how much he loved teaching. His wife loved teaching, but. And so we're going to talk about it today with our guest host. Just a couple of things. We always talk hot topics, and I'm sure this is a whole show in and of itself. But did you hear Mikhail Gorbachev just passed away, 91 years old? Very interesting to see how he will be celebrated in the globe, not celebrated in Russia, because apparently him and Putin was not on talking terms.
They butted heads.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Who wouldn't butt heads with Putin is what I'm thinking.
Exactly.
So just wanted to mention that, but truly praying for Jackson, Mississippi, and the fact that in many places the waters have receded, but Chris, did you hear that even though the waters have receded and they're out of the danger zone in terms of flooding in most cases, they have no running water. Their infrastructure they need $1 billion, I've heard, to fix their running water situation. No running water, and in some cases, no electricity. So, really.
I mean, that's in 2022, that's even hard to hear. I mean, it's almost like a third world country when you think about some of the infrastructure that is right here in America. And, it's just sad that when these kind of catastrophic things happen with the flooding there in Mississippi, that the people are the community. They are the ones that suffer the most. I mean, no water to flush their toilets. I mean, I can't even imagine. And then I saw the other day where the mayor, I want to say, of Jackson was telling, them to get out because it was so dangerous. And I mean, all of these flooding situations that we're seeing that are coming, all over the country, and sometimes in places that you would be surprised that it's happening. It's just another sign to what's going on in our world with global warming. And so, that's something that, we say a lot on this show. We always, so many of the topics when we're talking, it just comes up because so many of the catastrophes have to do with the way we're taking care of our planet. So yeah, our hearts really and thoughts go out to the Mississippians.
Absolutely. That is crazy in this year. And we cannot kick the rest of the show off without talking about our diamond encrusted wearing 6 layers for all the 6 championships. I mean, Serena, can you just give her a round of applause? Michael, say my name, say her name. I mean, how she walked out there. Did you see it? At least you saw it on social media if you didn't see it live.
No, I didn't see it live, but let me just say this. And I'm not sure what day I host, but I'm having my girlfriend, one of my best friends who lives both here and in Switzerland. So her son, which is my godson, surprised her, called her up and said, "Mom, I got tickets to the US Open. All you have to do is get a flight." When I say as soon as she hung up, she flew out on Sunday. They had front row seats. Front row seats. And I talked to her today, and she couldn't come on today because, of course, she came home to find out that all of her electricity is off. So she's trying to manage all of that. But I told her I want her to come on. She talked about all the celebrities that she saw.
Everybody.
And I was like, oh, everybody was there. So she took pictures. She said it was amazing. So I don't want to steal her thunder because I really want our radio listeners and our viewing audience to hear it from someone who was actually there and saw the whole thing. I told her, I said, you know what? That was priceless. Your son gave you a priceless gift, something that so few will be able to say that they saw Serena's last game, last US Open. And I said, and you're one of the few. And the front row seat, I don't even know. And I need to ask, well, she don't know. I wonder how much did that ticket cost? I wonder how much a front row ticket cost.
I saw some stars that were not sitting in the front row. So I'm sure it was a pretty penny. Okay. I'm sure it was a pretty penny, but to be there, oh my gosh. I mean, that's the kind of thing that whether you are a tennis fan or not, it is just, I watched the whole thing. I wasn't live, but I came back and I had already seen with social media and Gayle King doing the interview, but I came back and watched it, and the chick is just bad, but we could talk and do a whole show later at some point about what it's like.
Did you hear the tribute?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The tribute. Okay. Oh my gosh. And that's just the beginning, right? Did you see LeBron, what LeBron said?
LeBron's tribute. That was just amazing. It was so heartfelt. I watched it. I listened to it. And I just love when athletes celebrate each other for the craft, for the discipline, for the work that they do in order to perform at such a high level. And I think that's where the adulation comes. That's where the appreciation comes, is because when you're talking about one athlete who's at the top of his game, given accolades and kudos to, you know, a woman who's at the top, well, let me say the top, the GOAT. Let's be clear. Yeah, she absolutely is the
she was
GOAT.
Like, okay, I'll go with that.
Okay.
She just took it on. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I can't wait to see all the additional accolades, but just a sister from Compton doing what she's done is absolutely positively unbelievable. And the willingness to not retire, but to launch new on top, when so many people, we look at people in power, we could name lots of them that never want to let go of they shine. Like they just want to keep shining, right. Keep shining.
And the thing about that too is knowing when it's time to pass the baton to someone else that's younger, and understanding that, you know, when you are playing sports at that level, that your body, you know, can only take so much. So even though she's 40 or in her early 40s, I mean, her body has endured so much. And so I think, you know, we see those athletes who, had they retired, you know, they won the gold medal, but they were going to try one more time. And then they didn't even come in for a silver medal, right? Because they thought they could pull it off. How many times have we seen it in the boxing arena where, you know, they think they got one more fight? And it's like, had they just said, you know what? Yeah. And listen, I don't judge them, because there's a number that somebody can write on a piece of paper where you say, you know what? I can't turn it down. I just can't turn it down.
Tom Brady, aka. Oh my gosh. Well, it is just really exciting, and I'm excited to watch. I understand even her and Venus are going to be playing together, so that will be unbelievable. So we're going to get into our topic today, because this is going to be rich and an important conversation, because whether you have school age kids, grandkids, it affects everyone, because education, the public education system is so important, and education in general. We are going to welcome to the show Kellie Seals, who is passionate about educating others about the importance of literacy. She's been an English teacher in the middle public school. Michael, we got to give it up. Give a round of applause for being a teacher, okay? The teachers need a round of applause. In the middle school public setting for 15 years. She currently serves as a district literacy coach on the middle school level. Additionally, she is the owner of Seals Tutoring Service, LLC, where she provides direct one-on-one literacy tutoring services from kindergarten through the college level. So you know that also means she's smart. So we are bringing in and we are welcoming you to We Got Issues. We're headed to a break already, and then the rest of the show, we're going to be digging deep. Kellie, welcome to We Got Issues. Let's talk about it. Give us a call, you guys, 313-778-7600. Let's talk about why are teachers leaving the profession? How can we ensure a great education for all of our kids, especially our brown kids, our Black kids in the public schools in America? We'll be right back. All right, we are back. We are back. Thank you so much for being here, Kellie Seals. We are excited to have you on the show. Welcome to We Got Issues.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes,
Awesome.
I'm so excited.
We are so glad. Well, we want to talk about it, and we want to first start off by having you introduce yourself. But the reason this show is so relevant today is more than 500,000 teachers have left the profession since the start of 2020. In a typical year, about 8% of teachers leave, but this year saw more teachers leave in the middle school year than normal, and in some of them even leaving in the middle of the school year. So it is just a problem,
Yes.
Not just in 1 or 2 states, but all over. And schools are doing the most to try to figure out how to navigate. So Kellie, welcome to We Got Issues. Start off and tell us about you, who you are, brag on you a little bit, and talk about who you are as a teacher.
Absolutely. Well, first, just thank you for having me. I am just so excited and passionate to always share about the education world. This is my 17th year, and I started fresh out of college, 21 years old, didn't know a thing. I mean, I knew English, but they didn't really warn me about middle school, you know, they didn't warn me. So I started and I've been in middle school the entire time. While, throughout my years, matter of fact, my first year, I decided, to get my master's. So I got my master's in curriculum instruction. And then later on, I had an opportunity to get my reading specialist endorsement because I was really passionate about helping children, young people learn to read. So I was able to get that. And then I just, practiced and utilized what I learned in the classroom. And then eventually I opened or started a tutoring business because so many people were asking, do you tutor on the side? Do you tutor? And I started to tutor on the side. And then I realized I just need to make this business because, there's so much and people need it. Like they are asking for, extra help and support for their children. And so I started the tutoring business officially the beginning of last year. And so I do that on the side. And I am now currently a district coach. So I also get to help English teachers. I mean, everyone, because literacy is in everything, of course. But specifically, I get to help English teachers use the best instruction, using the best practices that are research-based and providing that tier 1 instruction to all students. So I love it. Like my passion is just to help others. So I get to help teachers teach, and it's just a beautiful thing. I love it. So that's me in a nutshell.
So Kellie, I have a quick question. I mean, oh my goodness, I can tell that you're passionate about what you do. It is coming across so clearly. So we're excited that we have someone like you that's passionate about literacy and helping other teachers use the best practices. So my question to you is, and again, I won't even begin to try to add up the number of years I've been out of middle school. However, I know that so much has changed. And so, sometimes I'll hear parents, that have younger kids today say sometimes their work, their homework is like, something that they've never seen before. So what are some of the major I don't want to say challenges, but what are some of the major changes that have been made when it comes to how these children learn? Because I know, each generation learns differently, and now it's a new generation. Yes. I don't know if that's one of the reasons teachers are fleeing education, but how do they learn?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So because it is an information age, everything just from technology, I mean, it's crazy. So one, that's how they speak. We insert technology into how we learn, but that's not the end all be all. So that's where the challenge comes in. We're trying to reach our students so that they still get what they need. And honestly, I see the basis or the foundational problem comes back to reading and writing because it's in everything. So when they go to social studies, when they go to science, and they're saying, they're not getting it, it ends up coming back to it's because they can't read, or it's because they're reading on such a low level. And right now, not just right now, but they say, by the time a student, the end of third grade, they should be reading. And if they're not, that's how they determine, like they're not going to make it out of school, or that's how they determine prisons are built, determined on the numbers of students who
heard that
cannot read by third grade. So the challenge is trying to let the students know, especially in middle school, that it's not just about social media, and that is not the end all be all, but we have to be able to communicate in many different ways. We want to use that to build on, to build our businesses and to, communicate with people, but there's certain basics we have to know. So I think that's the challenge with helping them to understand that.
Yeah,
so
that
so
makes
good.
I was talking to a teacher at the hair salon a couple of years ago, and she was actually a high school teacher, and she told me that because of cell phones and the technology that these teenagers are using, she said it's amazing how they do not know how to communicate. She said she was talking to this one young man, and he couldn't even look her in the eye the whole time he was talking to her with his head down. And she said, hold your head up, look me in the eyes. And he found it very challenging because they are constantly looking down, constantly looking on their phone. And so I can absolutely see that there is going to be a need of almost re-socialization of how to talk to live people and not just what's on your phone.
Yes.
And Kellie,
Okay.
talk about,
Oh, go ahead.
just as you're answering that, also speaking to that, talk about since COVID, because COVID put even a whole other piece of kids that and their socialization challenges, that middle school age. Every age is important, but I know you can speak to how COVID particularly affected middle school students.
Absolutely. So there was a total shift when the pandemic happened, and then we had to go to virtual. There was no playbook to let anybody know in the schools, well, how do we, what do we do when there's a pandemic? There's no book written for that. So everyone was navigating this, just let's figure this out. So nobody knew. Nobody really had the answer as to how do we navigate. And so what happened through the pandemic is that parents, because the children were home, parents were beginning to see education, like really seeing like how my child learns, understanding that there are many steps in the learning process, and realize that this is crazy. Like, we need to appreciate our teachers. So remember, like, everyone was, on social media, like, thank our teachers, and oh my goodness, because they were seeing how some students were struggling. I even saw with my own child that math, I knew he was struggling a little bit, but I really saw how he operated, paying attention to him virtually. So there were things that came out, and people realized, like, yeah, this is a lot. And so I literally talked to a few retired teachers recently, and they came out because of the change virtually. They were like, it was just too much. Like, they were in it for like over 30 years, and they were like, nope. Once we started that, I was like, nope, I'm not going through that, because it was a shift that nobody really knew how to navigate, but we were trying to figure it out. And so we had to adjust our lessons. Everything had to be on the screen, so you had to think about, how am I going to present this? How am I going to teach, my students how to comprehend text, how to learn these math problems? It was just a huge shift. So because of all that, because things went virtually, when you think about cell phones, it was already bad, but it was really bad. So now it's a fight. Like, schools are trying to make the decision, are we going to ban phones? I know in Virginia, it's a big thing. Districts are, have had to make decisions. What are we doing? Some districts are leaving it up to specific schools to make your rules. But I
heard some teachers talking about that. I was just with a panel the day that I spoke to you, and I heard teachers talking about the distraction that takes place with their phones. And yet I know parents that used to say my kids will never have a phone, that now would not want their kids to not have a phone, because you have a child who uses the phone to call 911 that could perhaps save someone's life, or the other reasons for safety. And so that's a whole conversation. We're about to take another break, and so you started to touch on people that have left the profession. And so I want to just have you talk about how did we get to the point that we have a teacher shortage? Certainly there are, it seems like, teachers and nurses, we all know people that say they want to be teachers, they want to be a nurse. So how did we get to the point that there is a shortage, and what can we do to alleviate the shortage? And so I'm curious to know, is this shortage taking place mostly in public schools? Is it private schools? Is it everywhere? And so we're going to dig deep and talk more about that right when we come back from the break. Kellie, be ready to break it down and help us understand. And if you are a teacher or a former teacher, or you have a teacher in your family, are they staying? Are they leaving? Call us at 313-778-7600. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Thanks so much for tuning in to We Got Issues. We thank you for being loyal listeners. And those of you that are first-time listeners, thank you. Even thank you to Rhonda, who's shouting out in the background, who introduced me to Kellie. So grateful. I see a lot of comments in the chat. Wow. Crystal, let me see. How do I say it? Christian Lynn said, I'm an assistant teacher in special education. Seems more teachers are simply finding better paying jobs and careers. Teachers start, but don't always finish the school year out. Wow. Constant changes on top of all pressure is interesting to watch from my level. The passion to be teachers seems to be lost to an extent. The students still need lots of guidance. The procedures and policies oftentimes make things more complicated than needed. If everyone would partner up, parent, teacher, admin, on and on and on. I know you can finish that song. So I hear that some schools are going to 4-day work weeks. Some schools, someplace in Iowa, I wonder if they're doing this where Black and brown kids are, they were offering an additional $50,000 just to stay till the end of the school year. I've heard all different kinds of things. I don't know if they're doing that in the inner city. Okay. And I know, my granddaughter got hired in Chicago as a teacher. And while she does have an excellent education and she is college educated and very bright, she has not been trained to be a teacher. And I know that just like in every profession, it's not just knowing math, right? It's being trained in curriculum and all the other things. And so they are just looking clearly. So Kellie, can you bring us up on this teacher shortage and tell us all about how you feel about it?
Yes. So, well, there's always been a teacher shortage, just it wasn't out there, but it was in certain areas. So, math, it's always been a shortage. Science, your special education has been a shortage. Matter of fact, the government, offers to forgive loans in like $17,000 in those particular areas. So there's always been a shortage, but now, because of, we talked about, the pandemic and what's happened, people don't want to deal with that. That was said perfectly. They don't want to deal with the pressure. They don't want to deal with all those things that come with teaching. There's so much that a lot of people don't realize that happens. It's a lot of multitasking, and it's like you're not, of course, lots of jobs multitask, but what I mean by that is that a lot of students, you're not just teaching content. You're really teaching like life, and you have to be strategic with how you do that. So you have to build relationships with the students first before you can even teach anything. You have to have classroom management and set expectations before you can teach anything. So if you don't have those things in place, those procedures, that structure, you can't teach. So what's happening with the teacher shortage, they're like, please come, you have a degree. They're doing pretty much whatever they can do to get teachers licensed. So teachers are coming with a degree. It may not be in that particular content, English or math or science or so forth. But they're providing these opportunities where you can take classes while you're teaching. You can take your teaching certification exam while you are teaching full-time and getting paid. And so because teachers don't have those classes before, some people, and I'm just saying some because some come in and do it beautifully, like they just naturally have it. Some things can't be taught, but it's just a natural thing. And then some come in, and because they don't have that and it doesn't come naturally, it's tough. And listen, I speak for middle school. It's tough on all levels, but that middle school, they come in, okay, and they're going
Talk
to
about
change
it. Talk about it. What are you seeing in middle school? We want to know. My girlfriend, who's a first lady and a teacher, she said, she just started talking about what she's seeing, and it's like, OMG. She said, and one of the kids came to school and called her auntie. And she's like, well, normally I would say, no, my name is Mrs. Williams. But she said the number of them that this is their only meal, that this is the only hug, that this is so if he wants to call me auntie, just call me auntie. So she just talked about how teachers are having to do it all. Kind of like you hear about police officers.
Yes.
She's, so help us understand, those of us that don't have middle school students, that have never taught one day in our life. What is it like now in the classroom?
Oh my goodness. They come with so much. And because that age developmentally is that age where they're in between, you're out of elementary, you're growing up, things are happening in your body, changing physically, things going on in your mind mentally. And then you're coming to a place where you're trying to figure out who you are. On top of that, you have kids coming from different backgrounds, right? You have kids that may come from stable families, 2-parent households, even if it's a one parent, but it's stable, right? But then you have like the other end. So there's like a mixture, might be raised by grandma, auntie, a friend. You have, it's just a wide range. So you have kids coming that, yes, they are helping to take care of the household by helping to take care of their siblings. We saw that through virtual learning, where the student was like, I'm sorry, I'm late. I had to fix the pancakes and get them on to their classes. I'm like, you're good. Well, I'll catch you up. So things like that, it's happening in middle school. They're dealing with the socialization is important, friends, all of the drama. Oh my goodness, the girl drama. Okay, she didn't look at me. She looked at me this way, and now she's not my friend. We get all of that. That comes to us first thing in the morning. You don't even have to say anything. Sometimes, they come to the door. Good morning. What's going on? They just this
And
person.
Kellie,
So
say,
trauma.
I'm going to go to one of our callers now, but wouldn't you say, because a lot of people would say, well, we've always had that girl drama and that boy drama, but it's different now because Bishop Jakes was just talking about this. It's different now because of social media. Everybody knows them and they know everybody's business. So it's not the same girl and boy drama we had when we were going to school, right? Like, what they ate dinner for last night, even though you weren't in the house, right? So we're going to go to a caller and she's going to add to this conversation. Mardise, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks for calling. We got issues. But this is a great topic. I'm a retired school teacher, 13 years. I had an early retirement because I had the age. I was veteran and I had the age. But I substitute teach every day. And I substitute teach little people. The teachers are walking out of the classroom. I have been serving since all the way up the first day of school. That's just how bad it is. And I'm like, wow. So I only serve, middle school because I want to be done at 2:20, and I want the rest of my day to myself. But the districts are doing, like the district I work in is where I live in Edmond, they're paying non-certified subs $70 a day. If you're certified, you make $100 a day. If you serve 5 days consecutive, then you get an extra $100. So they're offering all kind of incentives, bonus for people to serve. So it's really, really a problem. I feel so sorry for the students. I had a class yesterday and I walked in. They said, "Oh, you are a new teacher?" I said, "No, I'm your 32 teacher." Well, we don't have a teacher. And that's just really sad. That means, the education is the teachers are just leaving. So they're leaving here. They're even leaving the Texas area. A lot of teachers are here going to Texas. Now, teachers in Texas are leaving going to other states. And they do have a 4-day work week. So it's a lot. But my husband says, "Good. You need to pay teachers at least $65,000 now." Because police officers start to $70,000, they don't have degrees. And we said they've got to find somewhere to get the money. They're going to have to get some grants. They're going to have to do something. I personally think they need to start at the top of the administration. The superintendent's making here in Edmond about a couple $100,000 a year. Bring his salary down. Bring his social superintendent's salary down. He got to do something to keep these people. I would not want to have any children in school today. I really would. Wow. I did. And in Houston, my daughter put my little grandson in private school, so hopefully he'll be okay with that. And a lot of times, what a homeschool, but you have to be qualified to homeschool the children, So you have to get the curriculum, but you have to know how to teach them, apply it. So it's very, very serious and interesting. So I go every day because I like to spend the money. But, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I'm hoping that, the teachers will stay. But if they can't stay, I understand. And a lot of teachers, student teaching now, they can go ahead and teach until they take their test. That's just how bad it is. But and you know what? And if you add into that
they're required to do so much more than just teach. You know, many districts don't have a lot of money, so they're going into their own pockets to buy supplies. And if you're already not making a lot of money, you know, add on that, and then add on the family dynamics. And then, Lord forbid, you add on the dynamics of, you know, preparing for if someone comes to the school with a weapon. I mean, there's so many issues that are going on in our schools. And it's so sad because I am the product of the public school system. And I have so many great memories of being a student in the Detroit public schools. And it's almost as if, you know, these public schools is so difficult to get funding. It's so difficult to get teachers. Are they going to survive this?
Mm-hmm. I mean, go ahead, Kelly. We're about to go to a break, but so we'll go to a break, and I'll go to you as soon as we come back. I mean, it makes my mouth is hanging open. I remember my first grade teacher, Mrs. Frank. I remember sixth grade teacher, Mrs. Flores. I remember Mr. Sanders. I can't imagine not having a permanent teacher in your classroom for the start of your school year. You don't even get to have a teacher. It's a problem, y'all. It is a problem in America, and every other problem in America will be exacerbated by this problem right here. So we're going to talk about it. Kellie is great. Teacher Kellie doing a great job, an exemplary teacher who is passionate about teaching. It sounds like you're not ready to leave, okay? But I'm going to ask you that question when we come back. Hang tight. Give us a call, 313-778-7600. Here's a commercial break. All righty. Well, we are back. Thanks for tuning in to We Got Issues. And Kellie, it's just not enough time talking about the profession, but I want to just, of course, ask you, your passion is off the chart. Could you see yourself teaching until you retire, or have you thought about, I know you've left the classroom, and was that even a good, did you just do that for a professional move, or are you glad to be out of the classroom? Maybe you can't talk about that publicly.
So no, I can talk about it. So to be honestly, I'm going to tell you, teaching virtually and going through the pandemic, I felt within myself that I needed to make a change. So this is my 17th year. So it was around 15 years, 14, 15 years. I'm like, yeah, I have to change it up. I have to grow. I was starting to feel a little bored a little bit, like I wasn't stretching myself a little bit. So I said, I need to either go into coaching or maybe switch it up and teach virtually fully at home, like apply to a virtual school and teach from home. But I had to switch it up. And once I switched it up, I feel like I can go. Like I can keep going. Coaching. It's like the perfect job for me right now because I'm so passionate and I love helping other people and like sharing what other people have poured into me. I want to be able to pour back into other people. And so I get it. Like I actually was provisionally licensed when I started at 21. I had the English degree, but I did not go through the actual teacher program and do student teaching. I went through trying to pass the praxis test. So I went in on that end and I understand how it feels not to have all of the knowledge when you go into a classroom. So I feel like now I can keep going. Like I told my husband, I was like, I can add on some more years because I enjoy helping other people in this capacity. Now, if I was still in the classroom, I probably wouldn't be able to say I can keep going. I couldn't.
Wow. But 15, 16 years, that's a long time. That is a long time. And I know we, Chris, you might have some more questions around the teacher shortage. I want to ask you, since you have a tutoring business also, I want you just to hit on, how do you know, I mean, how important is it? Everyone could benefit from tutoring, but where public school is falling short, and where kids got behind because of COVID, how important is it for tutoring, and how can parents afford those kind of programs if their budget is already tight? So how do you know if your kids need it, and how do you find a good program and afford it?
Yeah, so the first start would be speaking with the teacher. So talking with the teacher to get some background on, where your child is. And then from there, you can also find out first, because a lot of schools and districts provide tutoring. Like there's a lot of money out there in programs that people have, and they're offering free services. Like I can think of one right now in our area that everything is free and they want to offer math and reading services to people. So like go to the schools and find out. Some of the schools have community representatives there, or someone that can direct you to find those resources, and go from there, because you may be able to get free services. And then if you need, a private, if you're looking for a one-on-one tutor like myself, just talking to people and letting people know about your situation and what are you looking for your child, you'll be able to find services. I promise you, it's out there. But start with the teacher first, because they have those assessments. They have that background that they can give you as a start to let you know where your child is.
That is so good. We have a question and 2 people on hold in 5 minutes, so we're going to fit it all in. Crystal is asking a question in the chat. What can we do to help as grandparents? Volunteer, send items to school. Some schools won't let you come in due to COVID. How can you talk about that?
Yes. So I mean, you said it right there, volunteering. I know my school, my principal is an advocate for that. Like if someone suggests something or complains, she said, well, can you come in and help us? So coming in, there's a small background check that districts do. And you can, once you do that background check, then if you're approved, then you can come in and volunteer first. Donating items. Look, teachers are always looking for, supplies. We always run out of tissues. Like, look, that's the first thing that came to my mind. But things like that matter, because a tissue can cause a disruption. Okay? Like, give the baby a tissue. And if you don't have them, trust me, a tissue. Wow. I can talk about so many items that can cause huge problems. Yes. So things like that, donating tissue boxes and And pencils. Okay, pencils. Like the babies go through
Things
pencils,
that
okay,
we
really
should
fast.
not be short of in school. Absolutely. No wonder they can't write in cursive because they don't have a pen and a pencil.
Just,
We're going to go to PG. And PG, we want to fit you in. And if you can hang tight, Isaac, I'm going to get you in the next 2 or 3 minutes. So PG, can you give us a great brief comment? Thanks for tuning in to We Got Issues.
Yes, and I just wanted to say again that I appreciate the energy and vibrations that all of you ladies put out there in the universe. It's an example of collaboration as opposed to comparing and competing. I agree with the previous lady caller that teachers are underpaid. And because they are teachers, confidants, babysitters, caregivers, lunchroom people, and going in their own pocket, I think their pay should be at least $100,000. And if they were to take the pay from the administrators that really don't do anything, I think that teachers can get their just due. I really appreciate you ladies taking my question.
Thank you so much, PG. We're going to fit it in and pass it to Isaac. Isaac, thanks for calling We Got Issues. You got 1 minute. 1 minute, Isaac. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You heard about the movie is all about the Benjamin?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I have a friend with a master's degree used to teach at the Bradford Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's a supervisor in Toledo GM powertrain plant for $48 an hour.
What?
She's making $48 an hour as a supervisor, supervising 13 people at the transmission plant in Toledo.
They're leaving because of money. They're leaving because of money. So 2 teachers working in Silicon Valley, one of the
Millionaires and billionaires are being made every day. 2 teachers on a teacher's salary can still be living under poverty. I mean, it's actually crazy, and have student loans that they, even with the $10,000 off, that they still would not be able to pay off. We have 1 more minute, Kelly, and I just want to give you the last word. What do you think schools can do? What can we do? Those of us that don't even have kids in school, what can we do? Vote is one of the things. We need funding, but talk about it in the last minute.
Yes, I would say definitely reach out to the schools that are within your community. Ask them what do you need? Ask what do they need, because I know a lot of schools are looking for partnerships, and sometimes, it's easy to get them and sometimes it's not. So just reaching out to those schools and asking what do they need will make a huge difference, because if we're going to move our students to where they need to be, to have those foundational skills, some of those skills that they missed, in the pandemic trying to learn, if we're going to move our students and make a great impact, it has to start, it has to be like community minded. Like we have to do it as a community. And so reaching out and making those connections.
Absolutely. Kelly, we are so grateful.
Yeah.
I told you the hour goes by like this. Okay.
It's
I know
so
you probably
fast.
wish, the teachers wish the hour went by that fast. And the students definitely wish it's like,
Right.
is it time yet? But boy, oh boy, do we know there are so many issues. And this is enlightening for us to see that as we drive down the street past those schools, even a box of tissue and pencils that I have too many of in my house anyways could make a difference. We cannot thank teachers enough, like you, Kelly, that are passionate about teaching other people's kids. There's some people who don't have the patience to teach their own kids. So keep doing what you're doing. We're praying for you. We're grateful for you. And we are going to vote and make sure that more funding gets to our schools, because without the education, everything breaks down. So thanks for tuning in to We Got Issues. We will be back tomorrow. Wonderful Wednesday. Will you be here with us? Of course you will. All right. So thanks. Have a great day.